Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 4 of Crave Arts Presents The Future of Film, featuring intimate interviews with the best emerging filmmakers from around the world. My name is Tom Oliva, and I am co-founder and executive director of Crave Arts and the All-American High School Film Festival, dedicated to discovering, showcasing, and uniting the next generation of visual storytellers and content creators. In October of 2022, we celebrated our 10th annual festival. 10 years in, and our community is thriving, a testament to the power of believing in the arts and the emerging artists that share their stories with us. The collective spirit of our organization, our community, and all of our year-round initiatives is rooted in a shared passion. A passion to breathe life into stories, to collaborate with others who share your vision, and to create content at the highest level. Content with the ability to move viewers emotionally, to inspire with unprecedented style and craft, and to impact real change. Some quick updates from the All-American Bulletin Board as we gear up for our 11th annual festival in New York City. Our 2023 festival will take place this October 20th to 22nd in New York City, and submissions are open via Film Freeway, with the final deadline being July 3rd. Head over to hsfilmfest.com to get the latest news and updates about the 2023 festival. You can save on our early bird tickets, book your discounted rooms at the Sheraton Times Square Hotel, and check out our downloadable 2023 budget guide, planning guides, and posters, because it's never too early to begin planning your All-American adventure. A friendly reminder that we are offering a new custom category this year, your chance to make an original music video for one of 4 songs by AWOL Records artist MXM Tune. More information at hsfilmfest.com/custom-categories. And if you plan on attending the fest in New York City, we highly recommend competing in our film invitational competitions, the world's premier on-site student filmmaking competitions in New York City from October 18th to the 20th. We offer a variety of authentic, real-world production experiences for student filmmakers and video production programs. Your chance to crew up and produce a short film in just 10 weeks. Registration is currently open. Please visit our website, hsfilmfest.com. And teachers, if you're looking for a great way to boost your curriculum and elevate and inspire your students, check out our video production resource community and roadshow. 2 terrific in-person or remote opportunities featuring lesson plans and interactive presentations based on our library of exemplary student films. More information can be found at hsfilmfest.com under the Education tab. Okay, today's guest, Theo Shakes, alumni from 2019, made a huge impression with his narrative short, Bygones, earning nominations for Best Overall Film, Best Direction, Best International Film, and Best Drama. We were amazed that this 16-year-old filmmaker from New Zealand had the ability to write and direct such a poignant and heartbreaking story. A story rooted in adult sensibilities, mature perspective, and an emotional tenderness well beyond his years. Bygones is a story about fathers and sons, about love and loss, about missed opportunities and the trails we leave behind. We meet the protagonist in an Uber on his way home to his birthday dinner, but any sense of celebration is muted, nearly suffocated by a looming melancholy, reflected in the meticulous cinematography as if the character's fragile existence is shrouded in a fog he can't shake. We're offered glimpses of the character's backstory and motivations, their simmering demons revealed in awkward, strained conversation and supported by magical flashbacks, with the gentle score perfectly accenting the rising dramatic tension. The gripping performances are amplified by glorious lighting and framing. This is a fragment of a life so rife with emotional intensity, it's almost too much for the viewer to bear. Without giving too much away, I can tell you that the final sequence of events is nothing short of devastating. A testament to Theo's vision and the power of cinema to evoke an unparalleled emotional response. Perhaps the best way to motivate you to watch this wonderful, wonderful short film is to share a line of dialogue delivered by the driver that perfectly encapsulates the overall tone and theme. Jazz, he says softly to his passenger, you have to listen to the notes that aren't playing. It's beautiful. Looking over Theo's impressive achievements since moving on from All American, his talent and passion should have come as no surprise. This is a young man destined for the bright lights, with an innate drive and dedication that shows no signs of slowing down. And his passion for storytelling extends well beyond filmmaking, including acting, stand-up comedy, and a thriving following on TikTok, where he has amassed 315 million views and over 700,000 followers. Clearly, Theo is determined to continue to develop his craft and share his art no matter what form it takes. And we can't wait to see where it takes him next. I am honored to be joined by Theo Shakes all the way from New Zealand today. So much respect for Theo getting up. It's already Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. It's 4 p.m. on Tuesday here. Hey, Theo, welcome. How are you?
Big kia ora, which means hello from New Zealand. I'm in Wellington, the capital. And thank you for that, dope intro, Tom. That's pretty cool. It's nice to hear back what I did anyway. It's been a while as well, so it's a nice refresher of that world, the filmmaking world, and then what I'm up to today. But thank you for allowing me on here, and let's have a chat. Let's see.
Of course. Yeah. I'm so excited to reconnect with you. And it was really awesome for me to revisit Bygones. I hadn't watched it in some time. And it just blew me away again. It stands up against all of the best films we've ever received. So thank you for sharing that with us. But before moving on, we're going to get to something to get the conversation flowing. We call it personal portrait. In this quick reply exercise, I'll say a word, ask a question, and you just say the first thing that comes to mind. Ready?
Yeah, okay.
All right, no pressure. As a New Yorker, I have to ask, how's the pizza in New Zealand?
Okay, it's like bread.
Very kind of you to say, and as someone who's always wanted to visit New Zealand, tell me one thing that makes your country special.
The mana, which means the power and spirit in the people. We're really coming from an indigenous lens, our Māori people. So I think just how we say hello and how we say goodbye, that's perfect to me.
Very cool. Would you rather be reincarnated as a dog or a cat?
Oh man. A cat. I've been looking at them lately and just seeing them float around. So cat, yeah.
All right, cool. Back to New Zealand for one more. What's your favorite thing to eat? What's a New Zealand thing to eat?
I eat a lot of fast food, I'm not going to lie. Pies, I guess. Pies, that's a Kiwi thing. Yeah.
Like fruit pies?
No, like a mince pie or a steak and cheese pie. That's a pie, yeah.
A pie.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, what is your go-to karaoke anthem?
Daniel Caesar, Japanese Denim.
All right. We might have to call you out on that.
Yeah.
Chris, see if you can cue that up in the background. Okay. Yeah. What is the weirdest thing you have in the room with you right now?
This, for sure. A label printer that I use as a prop that's sitting on my table. It's pretending to be like an FBOS machine or a debit card machine, yeah.
I love those things. It's funny, but every once in a while, my sons and I will break ours out and just put funny labels on things to surprise mom.
That's cool.
And I've never realized how expensive the actual labels are for those things. They get you because the thing's not that expensive, and then you have to buy the tape, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Just use it as a prop.
Exactly. The batteries are out on it, and so I just like playing with the last bit of roll and just messing about. But yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. What is the best thing you bought this year?
What a question. Whoa. Oh, a car. I got a car down here in Wellington. That's been huge. Yeah, that's been big. Yeah, that
What kind
makes
of car?
sense.
What kind of car did you buy?
It's a Golf, a 2004 Golf, and I did it as quite an instinctual buy. I was like, no, I didn't tell anyone. Off Trade Me, which is like a trading app in New Zealand, and I was just like, just do it, Theo. Just do it. Like, see if you can be a little impulsive, and because I knew I wanted one, but I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's
I'm,
crazy. A Golf.
I'm happy for you. I hope you have
Yeah.
some nice, days driving around with the windows down and the tunes
Yes.
turned up.
Yes.
Okay, a little more serious here. Film school. First thing that comes to mind.
Doubt.
We'll get into
Ironically.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing a film can do?
Make people feel less alone. Mm. Yeah. Mm.
And finally, All American High School Film Festival.
Whoa. My film was in like Times Square, like that. Still, like like it was off on I was like, someone was messaging me about that. So being in a screen in America was like insane to me. That's crazy.
You're
Yeah.
making me smile. I'm glad we could provide that opportunity. So, all right, let's dive a bit deeper into all things Theo Shakes. It's
Yes.
amazing to reconnect with you today. Where are you currently? I know, well, you already kind of said you're in Wellington, New Zealand. What are you up to as it relates to film or your other passions?
Absolutely. So my daily, weekly life is acting school. I go to acting school, and I'm there Monday to Friday, 8 till 5 is usually that sort of time. And within that, we're working on a play right now, a farcical play. So lots of comedy, lots of fun, just basically liberating ourselves to just have fun. Um, and around that, amongst all of that, I've got various things I'm doing, TikTok being one of them, which is a visual medium of fun and chaos. And then the other thing I get time with my time is to write. That's where filmmaking still makes its connection.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny. Everyone who knows me knows this about me, that I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on social media outside of, my job and the
Yeah.
organization. You just might be the person that makes me take the plunge,
Oh
because I
yeah.
want to see, after being on your website and how it describes you as a person who's like lived every life or something like that, and
Yes.
all the different personalities and things that you share, I am incredibly intrigued. Your personality is one that I enjoy engaging with, and maybe you'll just be the reason. If you are, I will definitely send you a note, because I have resisted thus far.
Do it.
That's
Do it.
amazing. So what is a day in the life at acting school like? I mean, you're
Mm,
preparing for a play, but like, what do you
mm,
do?
mm. Yeah. Well, it's different because I'm in my third and final year, and it's very different when you're in your third year because they're kind of setting you up in a way that connects you or links you to the industry. So it's your own independent practice, your own explorations and testing culture is huge at Toi Whakaari. That's the drama school. That's the name of it. Um, but in first and second year, that's an easier way to describe how it looks because there's craft classes, and craft classes are split into four things. So movement, voice, playhouse, and acting. Playhouse is like clowning. It's like being wild, being silly. Clowning, yeah. And then acting is those explorations. So A-B scenes, which is just simple dialogue, and then actor and instinct, which is more specific, just sitting next to other humans, seeing how they move, acting and reacting. And then you get your plays in there and you get your screen tests, so your audition practice. Yeah, voice class, literally sending out vowels. Like it's pretty tedious. If you ask most people, they'll go, voice class, hate voice class. But it's or ooh for about 30 minutes straight. And then movement's really interesting. For my first 2 years, it was a blend of more specifically Samoan movement and Maori movement, because they were looking at our drama school at a way to interweave Pacifica culture if we come from a Pacifica lens, the Pacific, why wouldn't that be integral to the training and to an actor? And we like to talk at Toy about where you can draw strength from, what's behind you and what you can pull forth, and what grounds you. That's what first year is about. So it's really great the way the course is set up. First year is about grounding, second year is about weaving, and third year is about touching the industry and meeting them and shaking their hand. So it's changed my life. It really has. Like it almost makes me emotional sitting here talking about it, because I'm one of those people that's quite sensitive to knowing it's coming to an end, even though we're like 8 months away, because you are in this class of 21 people. You get to know them. I'm sitting every night thinking about them and who they are and what they say. And just when you think you know them, you don't. Like, but yeah, it's been incredible. It's been incredible. Yeah.
I can tell. And it's fascinating to hear sort of what the stages are like. And it's a little abstract, I guess, sitting where I am and trying to sort of wrap my head around some of the things you're talking about. But I can tell you have a clear passion for it. And I can also tell you that the voice training is really paying off. You have a wonderful voice. I could just listen to you speak.
Thank you.
Assuming that that's, obviously a sort of a tedious part of it and maybe your least favorite part, although I know you probably don't think of it that way. Do you have a favorite aspect of it as far as the work that you're doing right now?
Yes. As far as what I'm doing right now,
or in general.
Yeah, I always think of this one moment in my Toy journey, Toy being the school, also we say Toy Story. That's what we say. So it's TOI is how it's spelled, but we say, what's your Toy Story? Kind of like the film. It's quite cute.
You're amazing. I was going to ask you how it's spelled, just because if someone's listening, they might be like, I have to go there. I want to learn about this. Okay, cool.
But yeah, in second year, so last year we got to work with a movement teacher. And at first I'm like, I wanted to do a play. And he comes in and his name's Ross McCormack. And he's a movement practitioner. Incredible. Like the stamina or the sheer weight that, I don't know, the caliber he works at is just, he's so fast with everything he's doing. And I'd never worked with a teacher before who sort of challenges you, that grabs your shirt and goes, here, take a look at this. It's all respect. There's nothing silly going on, but it's about the work. And he described the work so often like, it's got to do this. It has to feel like that. And I'd never heard this language before. And so I'm sitting there like kind of like trying to feel him out and learn him out. And then you hear more stories, and he teaches you how to embody things and how to move and walk. And he's so observant. And that's something I'm interested in. When you're in a cafe, you got to be focused on the person here, here, and here to suck into your storytelling life, I guess, because it's how people move and behave. And he's worked on some incredible things. He worked on The Power of the Dog and worked with Benedict Cumberbatch up close in person. And he was telling some really cool stories. Benedict Cumberbatch would be sitting there writing notes religiously because he was an actor that came to work. And he described Jesse Plemons when they'd be doing Locomotive, which is traveling up and down the room, practicing waltzing, because there's a waltzing scene, I think, in that film. And Jesse Plemons would walk with his tongue out because he'd be so focused on his castmates. He'd be up the top going, let's go. I'm ready. I'm in. And he's saying that to us young actors going like, you want to meet the work? You want to meet this? Because I tell you, when you're in the industry, they're hungry. And there's a big difference. We're not Benedict Cumberbatch level. We don't have to be that yet. But that woke me up to, whoa, how much you can play and how much physicality is in your body, because that is what acting is. It's your body. That's your biggest toolkit. So I have to say, it's working with Ross McCormack last year in a movement practice was the biggest aha moment. Yeah.
That's fascinating. Do you feel like different in your own skin, like on an everyday basis based on this training, or is it a separate entity entirely?
No, because I think what it tries to do is put you in your skin, or just make you realize your skin. It's not trying to make you go, oh, here's the actor, let's strip them down and build the back up. That's not what it is. That's still a method around the world, but it's about bringing out who you are and letting that flourish, and finding your story within it all. So that's the grounding thing I was talking about, your place to stand. Tudonga Waiwai is what it's called. Once you know that, that's kind of your core thing. And then in front of you are working questions, things you want to unlock, ways you want to go about this. Oh, I'm curious about accent, and I'm curious about who am I allowed to play for? That's my big working question, because we're in a very, let's say, woke world, right? Where am I allowed to play an African-American, let's say, because the African-Americans are going to go, well, he's British Kiwi. So even when it's that finite, it's like, yeah, who am I allowed to play for? And so through my journey at Toy, I'm trying to figure that out. Okay, where's the line? What's okay? What's about the craft? And that's just what it is about. It's not about disrespecting the work. But then you got this. So yeah, that's what you have at Toy. You've got questions ahead of you and then who you are, but you're not trying to be a separate. I don't feel separate or outside of my body. No, not so much. Yeah.
Does it surprise you, or is it weird when you see yourself on camera, when you see video of yourself?
Now, you know what? No, because I was a YouTube kid. I made a lot of YouTube videos, so it was already softened from there. And then I just, like, I've made hundreds of TikToks now. So that was the thing I woke up to, like, last year and went, it was a bit exposing because I started seeing myself in so many different lights. Normally you try to be a little bit particular how you show yourself. When you first put acting work out on your own, you're a bit like, oh, I'll make sure I do a cool skit or I'll do something I know I'm good at. But I was doing everything, testing everything, and that felt quite exposing, to be completely honest. But now I've seen my face in all these different shapes and, wrinkles, whatever these things are that are on my face, that I'm like, well, you know what? That's who I am anyway. Plus the accents I do, I'm like, yeah, I'm used to that. But if you're going in like a high budget thing, it's different. It'll be like, whoa, we look cool. Whoa, we're well lit. That's what you see when you're in some film. But no, I'm pretty comfortable with that, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. What is it hard? Like learning this craft, like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like it's extremely challenging what I'm doing, what I'm putting myself through to pursue my passion here.
Yes, it is, but I don't personally describe it like that, but overall it is. And I know what I don't know, kind of thing. I know there's things that I haven't reached yet that are going to come to me, and that those are where the industry is a great example. That's the thing you're going to meet, and that's going to be the biggest hurdle. Working with people that aren't nice, working with people that don't like you, working with someone that might just say one little thing that you can't quite understand on a set, and you have to go, okay, ignore that and get on with the job, or confront it, or learn how to say yes, or learn how to say no. And then in this industry, the truth is, if you want to be a successful actor in a public sense, you're going to have this fame thing. And it's no joke, that conversation, because through doing TikTok, I've learned a lot about fame, and it gets in the way, and that's hard. And you're asking yourself every day, when's the point of no return? What am I going to lose? But what am I gaining as well? And this craft, this storytelling, telling stories, I'm a storyteller, and that's what I want to do. So if I want to do that, how am I going to cope with what happens around me and the ego? So those things, 100%, that's all part of being an actor. And they describe the training at Toy as arts. It's artistic. You're learning how to be an artist. And so that means, yeah, how you walk into the room in the morning, how you walk out of the room, how you put away the chair if someone left the chair out. Those are all the challenges you have as an actor, because you see it straight away. When you know someone's not quite there for it, who's not quite in, the behavior's off or the attitude's off around the acting itself. The floor is what we'd call where you act. We're on the floor. I'll see you on the floor. And then everything outside of that is like the things you bring as an actor, as an artist. Your personality, how you hold yourself, and that's what's hard. That is what is hard. Yeah.
It's incredibly insightful. I'm just in awe of how grounded you are about the process, how aware you are of, where you've come from and what's ahead. And it's really, really useful information, I imagine, for so many people who will be tuning into this. To hear that. And what an ambassador you are for others who may be interested in pursuing this craft. So Switching gears a little bit, I know that you graduated from school already, and this is like the next chapter. And were you actually in film school prior to this?
Yes. So I was in film school. It was for a year. So it's a diploma sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Where did you attend?
I attended South Seas, which is it's pretty much the biggest film school. Like we don't have big film schools, but it's up there. Yeah. We don't have many in New Zealand. Yeah.
Why did you feel at the time, I guess after high school, do they call it high school in New Zealand?
Yes, they do. High school. Yeah.
Okay. So after graduating high school, why did you feel like that was the next logical step?
Because I've been dreaming of doing it like since, year 9 or like, I don't know what grade that is, but through high school. And I was just like, I want to go to film school. Yeah, I just want to try that. What's the next step? Because it wasn't like when you're in high school and you do films. So Bygones I'd done before I hit film school. So it was like, well, you can't really like get a job as a director, but I'm interested in directing and writing. And then it would mean you step into sets and to actually get those connections, not quite strong enough or consistent. So it was about, going to film school and meeting it there. That was my thought. Yeah, I want to see what it's like to work with some proper gear and collaborate with all these different departments. And how does that move?
Great segue for me and my next question. For people listening, who aspire for the same sort of path, are thinking about film school, kind of weighing their options. It's not an easy decision. There's a financial commitment and certain risk involved. Is there a certain class or experience that you had at school that really stands out to you as being impactful?
At film school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a cool assignment or a professor, anything.
Yes. Honestly, my film school experience is not the dream one you'd think. And that's why it's hard for me to like quickly find the positive things, if I'm being completely honest. What I can say is when I got to, you make a film, your final project, that I can highlight is where magic started to appear, because I was working with kids. I chose to write a film about kids, and they were a joy. They give you so much life. They're a challenge as well. They say don't work with pets and children, and I did both of that at film school. And the kids were just, I don't know, you learn a lot about who you are when you're directing and who everyone else is, your mates, your producer or your AD. And you're like, no, how do we get them to focus? Because they're starting to lose their focus. Okay, we'll give you a little reward, okay? We'll give you some food after. Food! No, focus. Oh, shoot, we can't say food yet, because then you'll just think about the food. And then also getting them into the story and trying to understand that. And games, like it's about games. And that's why I love acting too, because we're all trying to play. It's what kids are as well. They're trying to play. And so how can you get playful energy into your film? So everything about that. And it was just a moving experience. It was the first time I kind of touched on my blackness inside a film. So it was like, yeah, it was cool to do. It's called To Television, the short film. So it was about telling.
What is the film? Yeah, what is the film about?
Yeah, so it's set in 1964 New Zealand. And it's about like the first kind of TVs that were coming into the country and what actually happened. Because I saw a documentary earlier before I made the film, and it was just I saw this visual. I couldn't let go of it, but like 3 kids on crates, apple crates, peeping through a window because that one rich neighborhood in the on the street had a TV and everyone else didn't. So you'd go through and you'd watch the one show on in black and white, and then you'd run home. And so the kids would sneak out, and I just loved that. I was like, oh, that feels like some Steven Spielberg, E.T. in the middle of the street vibes. So I just wanted to see that and then tell a story about, if you were a black kid in 1964, what are you going to see on the TV? And then I wanted to bring some fantasy into the story. So it's about him discovering a TV from the future. And he goes into the bush and finds a TV from the future. So when he plugs it in, he sees a black guy on screen. And it's like, whoa, there's someone that looks like me. And so how this kid feels and what it shapes him to be. That's what the story is about. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so mad at myself for not watching it. I think it's on your website, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
I'm
I mean,
watching it as soon as we're finished talking.
Give it a go. The execution of it is one thing. That's something you'll always doubt yourself as a filmmaker, as a young filmmaker. You'll look back because you're really growing very quickly. Within a year, you've changed. That's the thing when you put a film into a festival. The time by a year later, you're like, oh, I'm different now. I've learned so much more. That's the irony, right? But that one in particular, I just know this. It's one of those ones like, we missed certain things here and there, but its story is what matters, and that's what I love. It's beautiful and precious. So yeah,
incredible, and just awesome to know the trail, that took you to the point of getting to the final story by seeing that documentary and that initial image. I'm intrigued for sure.
Yeah.
I have to ask. You mentioned that you don't necessarily have fond memories of the entire film school experience. Why not?
Yeah. Multiple reasons. One, where I had come in to the school. So I had done filmmaking. I had been on sets and I had experienced that. And so I was meeting people going around. I'll never forget this. This is what I was like. Hey guys, oh my gosh, who are your favorite filmmakers? And they say Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson. I'll be like, oh great, yeah. But really, anyone else? I was like, no one wants to have this, no one wants to talk film. I was like, okay. And then I slowly started to learn, for many people, this was their first time touching films, first time picking up a camera. Just because they was like, not, they might have had cameras in their lives or phones and stuff, but it's like in high school, these people that are coming straight out of high school going like, I just want to try this thing out called film school. That's what it was. But for me, it was this ongoing dream. And so I was ready for in-depth conversations about film. And it wasn't so much theory, it was about practical, which was great too. I wasn't against that. But then I was like, felt like I missed a bunch of film history. It's not like you're going to sit in a class in the 90s and study Quentin Tarantino. That's not what film school was for me. But the other thing was, they were trying to cram a lot into a year for good reason, I think, because they want you to have your industry connections. But I'll tell you, we lacked what the heart of storytelling was. That no rich conversations about, so why do you like this piece of film? Like actually talking, doesn't have to be about technicals, and I'm not interested in that. I'm just saying like, why do we feel a certain way about stuff, and what characters or actors inspire us, or what music is like that just wasn't there. It was about kind of go through, finish. And so that was hard for me. And then just, it's who you're with. Like it's the odds of who you're with. It's the people you meet. That's the chance thing. And do you vibe with them? Do you mesh with them? And that just wasn't my people. But I can tell you the good bit, which is getting to acting school and me thinking, oh no, the acting school kids are going to be annoying as heck. And they weren't. They were like, they're a bit more reserved than filmmakers. Like filmmakers are quiet, but man, they're loud when it comes to the technical, whereas actors can be, and then really thoughtful and listeners. And I like being in a space like that where you can observe and sit back and look at what you're doing. So yeah, it's a multitude of reasons, I think. But maybe I had primed myself for this image of what film school was going to be, and it's going to be this great thing where we go and hustle and then we create a film club on the side. And it wasn't that. And I think, COVID, I'll always say that COVID got in the way. Things got in the way, right? So sorry, just to quickly extend this little thought, sorry. I had made films in my living room and my house, in every corner of my house for 8 years. I get to film school, finally can do some practical things in person. And then a month later, COVID. So we're back. And then they say, but it's all good. We can make films in our house. We can edit them online. And I'm like, yeah, but I've been doing that for 8 years. I finally got to get out of that. And so I still did my thing. Still, I created a whole little comedy series during lockdown for my own pleasure, because that's just what I do. But that felt so backwards. It felt like I was just going backwards. And I think that's what's hard about it, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. And it actually is amazing to me that the pandemic, COVID, it seems to come up in every interview since, it happened. It really was transformative, for better or for worse. And I can only imagine that feeling. I really appreciate the honesty about the experience. I think, getting that well-rounded perspective of what was good about it and maybe what wasn't so much for you is really helpful to our listeners. And I think that's really what this show is really all about, is paying it forward. So I really appreciate that. And I also completely agree about the importance of story, right? Without the story, who cares about the practical? Who cares about the technology and the production if we don't care about the characters and the conflicts and the emotional connection that we make because of that? I can, like, you can see it in you, how important it is to you. And it's amazing because it's reflected in the small body of work that I've seen from you. It's evident even when you were 16 creating Bygones, because I watch a film like that and I'm like, how does a young man make this film? Well, it's because it's who you are. And it's awesome to actually see that in person speaking with you, to see how the art is a reflection of the person. I want to go back. You said, pursuing the dream and all the things that go into it. When did you first start like realizing, maybe it was making YouTube videos or whatever, but when did you start to realize like, this is for me?
Yeah. I'm always trying to pinpoint this because you always are. And only recently I was watching some family tapes from when I was a kid because my dad used to film everything. And first of all, he always says, what's it like seeing yourself? Because he didn't grow up with any pictures. He didn't grow up with any photos or videos. And so my honest answer is confronting, exposing, because when it's normal, privileged enough to say that, but it was normal to watch these tapes back. But then only recently I'm seeing this one and I'm freestyle rapping at 4 years old, like in the hallway doing this. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, so was it there? Is that where it started? This mover, this shaker? I don't know. But in terms of a practical sense or picking up a camera or stuff, I mean, it was like 2013. Me and my mate had I had a Samsung and basically edited the whole film via this record and then pause button, record, pause. That's how we created cuts. And that's how I was learning. We can stop it and then continue it if we walk down in the hallway here. And we just ripped off a bunch of films as you do, School of Rock. And it was basically School of Rock. That's how it started. But, in an acting sense, it's been a theme. Not drama camps, school camps. There's always like a skit night or a show night where you make some little comedy scene or whatever. And I was always doing that stuff, getting up on stage and, being a joke man or an entertainer or whatever, something like that. So that spirit was from there. But filmmaking, just a little Samsung, actually. Yeah.
It's funny to me that you created a film like Bygones as the first sort of like, legit production that you shared with the world. But I'm sensing that comedy is kind of your thing. Is that right?
I have to be careful. Me and my agent talk about this. My acting agent's like, where am I getting, you're always being boxed in and you're always and will you get typecasted very quick? Comedy is a thing, but I think it's liberating me to stop overthinking. Even as a filmmaker, man, I just tried too hard for perfection or tried too hard for the end result. What comedy allows you to do is break that cycle, shift yourself, make you jolt yourself where you didn't think you'd go. Lying in bed last night thinking about a script I've been writing and just going like, what if we just killed him? Like, being silly like that because you've done the work, you've done the core work, and now, you can't sit there for too long and make this art house A24 piece of magic, which we'd all love to do. Like I'm obsessed. I'm going to do it. I'm obsessed with Moonlight and Barry Jenkins. And there's a really deep and powerful world there that I'm curious in tapping into. Dramas, thrillers, Jordan Peele. But that's the thing. So take someone like Jordan Peele, who I'm sure everyone references, right? He's looking at horror, he's looking at comedy, but through a lens of political horror almost. And that's like deep. And I think, blending these two, I think I'm curious in that. But, comedies, I've been talking about comedy so much because it's been a way to stop being so precious with my writing, with a perfect scene, with a video, it does allow you to break that mold. Yeah.
It relaxes you.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does when you can't think it through too much. Yeah. Yeah. If you've written something perfectly and now you're going to present it, classic. But yeah, that's what I actually in solos in first year, real quickly, where you do a little piece of yourself, your solo, for 15 minutes, and each night I chose to do a stand-up bit in the top of my solo, and I had written one for a couple of weeks and then performed it, and then I was like, that was so much fun. I want to do something new. And act school, all about testing. So that evening I just went to McDonald's and thought about how I ordered a cheeseburger with no cheese, which is the silliest thing ever, but I did. And the lady's like, a cheeseburger with no, don't say it out loud. And I was like, this is going to be a stand-up bit for tonight's show. So I quickly wrote something and then performed it. And I loved that. And then I had a third night and did it again. I was like, that's what it's about. When you can be, a little bit more fluid. It doesn't mean making it up and winging it completely. I'm very hesitant about that culture of let's just make it up. I'm not into that, but I am into, if you come from a place of, intellectualness or rigid plans, learn to break that a bit. I'd say that to young filmmakers too, because you've got it in you, but it's maybe about, my drama teacher says to me, intelligence of the heart. If you're an intellectual person, intelligence of the heart. Yeah.
First of all, you made me laugh out loud with that cheeseburger bit. As someone who goes to McDonald's and gets the hamburger with extra pickles,
Oh yes,
that's first of all very funny. I imagine you're very good at it. This is usually a question I save for a little bit later, but do you see yourself going a specific direction? You're doing all of these things, and man, do I want to talk about all of them with you?
Yeah.
You're working on the acting thing right now, stand-up comedy, you have a knack for it. That was immediately obvious to me a few seconds ago. Is there one that's sort of rising above the other, or are you just sort of going with the flow and doing all of
it? Yeah, I think, it's acting's the place which I feel most alive in and closest to myself, where I feel me finding the joy. That's what I think life can be about. And so not taking things too seriously means that acting can be this really in-depth adventure, challenging at many points, but also just a fun ride where you get to meet cool people, put on a costume. At the end of the day, you are putting on a costume or something silly like that, and it's fun. So acting's kind of been the thing that's sparking me, but I'm writing so much. And that's the one thing I told myself, I'm at acting school. What can you do? What can you do? Right. So it's in the hopes that I can come out and pitch these things. And I guess TikTok is just a great, I don't like the word influencer, first of all. I make that quite clear because I think that's about you. And I'm not into that. I like the word creator though, because I'm creating something. And
it just happens to have you in it. It's not about you. You're just the vehicle.
Exactly. And that's why when you go on TikTok, and you will, when you go on there, you'll find out that all my impressions and stuff though, they're not ever in this voice. I'd never use this voice because I'm trying to test something and see something. So I've stuck with an American accent lately and garnered an American audience. But yeah, it's creating something. So, but what I was saying about that is that TikTok's become a great connector. It's made me connect with people and have tangible opportunities that start to come to you. That's incredible. And that's something you can definitely latch onto. Because a lot of, funders and producers and production companies are going, okay, someone who's already built an audience, can you write? Oh yeah, I can write. Sweet. Let's see you in a little 6-part comedy series or something like that, So yeah, it's a combination of things. It really is.
Has it always come naturally to you, this ability to assume characters, change accents, that kind of thing? Or is it something that you've learned by
Mm.
working on? I know it's probably both, but I'm just
Yes.
curious about what that balance is for you.
Yeah, it is both, but it's more. Yeah, I was that kid in primary school, which is, what is that? Second before elementary?
Elementary school, I think we call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was just doing little impressions, doing an Irish accent, doing whatever. And my mates always knew that. And to be fair, I was surrounded by mates. My friend who I knew all through high school, we ended up at acting school together. We went off, did our thing, and then we came to each other one day and said, "Hey, I think I'm auditioning." Really? Same. Whoa, whoa, we're not planning this, because best friends would clearly plan that sort of thing. We didn't. And so I was surrounded by by many voices. When you're in New Zealand, it's so culturally diverse. You've got Indian people, you've got white people, you've got Asian people, blah, da, 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 da. And so you've got a mix of sounds to hear anyway, but I guess that's what I was exposed to as a kid, having British parents, being born in the UK, and then moving to New Zealand when I was 4. I feel like that journey already, I was absorbing sound because, that phrase, you're a combination of all the sounds you've heard. So you just have to turn them on a little bit more. I don't know. The hardest accent I'll say is the Australian one. That's hard, ironically. Yeah.
You would think, yes, that is ironic. You would think that would be easy for you. And it's fun. I'm
Yeah.
horrendous with accents. And I'm envious of people who it comes naturally to. I'm sure it serves you very well. And another reason why I'm going to have to check you out on TikTok.
Yeah.
So as far as the acting thing, and I definitely want to talk about Bygones because, I think it'd probably be the
Sure.
first thing that people want to check out to learn a little bit about you as a filmmaker. But
Yes.
where do you go from here? You're in this final phase of acting
Mm.
school, which sounds like
Mm.
it's been a tremendous journey for you. Like, what do you do? I guess you're probably already looking for parts and things. Do you have an
Mm.
agent? Like, what is that
Mm.
process
Mm.
like?
Mm. Yeah, so I've had an agent for a while now, and I was lucky enough to have one. Although everyone kind of ends up with one at our drama school, that's not the same in the world, interestingly enough. And so you're very lucky in New Zealand because it's small enough. But then it's like, how do you branch out of New Zealand? That's the next challenge. Which is why your accent's strong. You need to build your accent well. But yeah, I guess it's already building up a rapport, a relationship, because the thing you get told is this is going to be a lifelong relationship. Like that's what your agent could be, which is quite terrifying as a thought as well. You're like, okay, okay, we're really going to have to know each other, and how can we actually honestly talk to each other so we know what roles we want, da 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 da. But I've been a bit, don't overwhelm me with self-tapes is what they call them now. You'd know probably about this after COVID, everyone's doing them in their living room, or in their bedroom. And so I've had the lucky opportunity to get some and then book some roles, some stuff that's not out yet. And next year it'll be about really leaping into that. So that's how it looks. You don't know what's coming on your plate. You don't know what's going to come into your inbox, but you can't wait for it either. There's no point in being a lazy actor. That won't help. So you have to kind of keep your muscles warm. That's why TikTok's a great outlet for me. It's always challenging me, even in a filmmaking way. For the first year of doing it, I didn't have a stand. So the challenge was, how do I prop the phone up? Because it's classic. You've got a phone. That's a huge tool.
Right.
I wanted to make cinematic things, so I rejected the phone theory. But then when you realize, okay, we're in another world where, the medium can look certain ways. All right, TikTok's built portrait. All right, let's have fun with it. How can I constantly find the best way to shoot this? So that, building your muscles in other places are crucial, and in places you can find joy. But yeah, you don't know with acting. You don't know. I'd love to do some stage work, some theater work, and I'm a big musical theater fan. So if I could ever get in one of those, that would be pretty cool. On Broadway, imagine that.
I don't doubt that it's possible for you. And I really love the fact that it's obvious to me, if I don't know if it's obvious to you living it, but one thing is clearly informing the other. So you have this circle of different things that you're doing, but they're all creating your core. And that
Yes.
core seems possible of doing any of them, at a really high level, which is just awesome. It's amazing to have crossed paths with such a person. Let's talk about Bygones.
Yes.
What inspired you to tell that story? Forget film. We're talking about the story, right? That's what it's really about. It's an adult story. What makes a 16-year-old tell that or want to tell that story?
Best way I could put it would be what I think my first thing I was curious about was, if you shared a ride with someone who, like a taxi situation, and you had a deep history, but you didn't know it. That was like the first starting point. And then my producer, Fraser Groot, he was someone I met when I was on a little holiday camp with my parents in like 2014. And he was a 21-year-old filmmaker at the time. He's like, dude, I'm making a feature film. Years later, he was like, I was way over myself. Every young person wants to make a film, but he did complete it. And so we kind of connected up, kept crossing paths down the line, and then we hit each other in 2018. He's like, dude, I'm looking to produce a young filmmaker's work. And so I'll never forget, we went to this cafe. This was the first time I'd ever driven on the motorway to get somewhere. So it was like already like, I'm being an adult now, I'm doing these big things. Going to have a coffee in some cafe, because that's how meetings work. And I'm sitting opposite him, nervous. And then he's just there, he's listening. Bro, it's all good, you tell me what you're interested in. Tell me your favorite movies, your favorite film scenes. And we talked for like 4 hours, about filmmaking. And that sparked up half the story probably, because we're going there, well, what are we passionate about? What do we want to see cinematically about it? I guess the root of the story is, it's not personal, but it was the question of like, what would it look like if your dad left you at 8 years old? And what would you be holding on to? And what questions would you say without even knowing that you're going to say them in front of the person? Yeah.
It's heavy stuff, for a 16-year-old to even have the desire to explore those sorts of themes, and then to somehow transform that into actual characters, with actual dialogue. And the dialogue in the film is incredibly strong, and we don't see that. That's a really hard thing to nail, to get the realism, to not be overly telly, with what you're trying to communicate. What kind of challenges did you face creating a film at such a high level? Obviously, without the story, we wouldn't care about any of it, but it is incredibly well produced. And I know you were working with some folks who were older than you, and obviously that helps, but this is your vision. And that's becoming very clear to me talking to you. What kind of challenges did you face?
Yes. So, let's see.
I know it's a long time ago.
No. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of which one. First of all, like driving in a car with a camera and that's a dangerous thing. I don't think we probably, being completely honest, ticked all the health and safety boxes there, right? But the challenge of that itself, safety is, you're cramped in a space, and we talked for hours in pre-production of how's that going to work? What are the best angles to shoot in a car when you haven't got any rigs on the sides or anything? And then working with a DOP for the first time who's got these big lenses, and you're seeing what can be done, and you're hearing, sorry, I'm getting into the cool stuff now, but, hearing little terms like, just split the difference. Oh, yeah, which means just, go halfway. And I'm like, you're just picking up so much so fast. But yeah, the difficult thing, which I always say and have deep regret about, is working with Ben, the lead actor. You're a 16-year-old. You're sitting there going, I know what my story is. You're so rigid in that, what I was saying before. And I was aware, don't tell an actor how to say their line, but I had how I wanted it set. But I was aware, but I had that locked in. And at one point, he sort of pulled me aside right before we're shooting, and gave me an offer or challenged me on something. I was like, he's coming after me. No, he's not. He was being an actor. He was doing his job. He was questioning the script. He was wanting to uplift the work. and studying acting now, that's why it was crucial to go to acting school, to understand the actors, because I believe that relationship is one of the biggest things, maybe if not the biggest part of the story, because they're the drivers of the story, and they have such an input. You know, if they're real working actors, they've got offers, and they're gonna give you so much juice. And so learning that relationship, it was not toxic. We had a great time, but I felt intimidated by someone who was doing their job well. I was like, I had but I thought it was good, you know, like, and how to go. So we still listened. I still was like, yeah, sure, try it. Let's do it. But I was hyper focused on time, and I think that's the thing you have to liberate yourself from. If you're the filmmaker, you know, as long as someone's got your back, especially if there's an AD, that weight and pressure can be on them. Because if you start to do that, you're not in those moments of performance. That's where you're going to rush, and that's where it's not good to rush. Forget lighting, you're going to miss what you're really wanting the character to say. And I like that. I was watching one of those directors roundtables recently, and the director was saying the last thing he does on his monitor is he just has a little piece of paper with how do you want the audience to feel? So the last thing he's looking at when he's in that monitor, and I'm like, yeah, if this is the last bit where you put it in the can and right goes on, it's so crucial, and that shouldn't be rushed, and that should be considered, and it should be exploring itself in that moment. It can't have already been thought out. That is the part where, as acting, we'd say liveness, where things happen that you can't foresee. So, you know, yeah, the challenge is that. The challenge is that, staying alive.
What an amazing learning experience. And it's, you know, watching it, you don't see any of that. It seems flawless. It seems like it was just always going to be there on the screen. What did you want the audience to feel? If that's your card, you know, on your monitor, what was your goal?
I wanted them to feel I actually wanted them to feel the whoa. Like when the dad disappears. When the dad disappears and the car's gone. I wanted the oh shit moment. I wanted the like what I question if I ever hit that, because you know, a lot of people describe the film as, oh, we knew what was happening, so it's about understanding that relationship. But I wanted to kind of hit an audience and see how that felt. Like, what is that when something gets pulled away from you and you just didn't see it coming? The surprise, shock factor, I guess. But also, I wanted the audience to feel like they were on this little journey for a night. Tapping into nostalgia. That's something I'm huge on. I love nostalgia. I love thinking or gazing upon the past. And that's why it's kind of a motif in my films. You'll see one sort of surreal moment, which is kind of through a window or through some scope, and something magical is kind of happening. And in this one, it's the kids running beside the car, because it's like, yeah, that's what you do. That's what I can definitely speak to. I'm not an adult yet, but I can speak to that bit. Yeah, magic a little bit in that film.
I think it succeeded. You might be surprised. I think for me, there probably was a little bit of, you kind of see where things are going, but you're not sure. And that's what makes the journey fun. For me, and that's why I highlighted the line of dialogue, that idea of what's between the notes, right? And that, you know, you could extend that metaphor on several levels with the film, visually, right? The mood and the tone that you're creating, but what isn't said, right? And perhaps most importantly, what could have been. And the fact that what could have been is the whole story, right? The fact that dad was never there. And then the fact that you punch it home with an even bigger what could have been as the grand finale, another missed chance, another what could have been. For me, I mean, just, and as a father of two sons, and, you know, as a son myself, there's such power in that dynamic that you're delivering. I mean, I really think it came through incredibly well. And it the story really resonated with me. It leaves me with a hole. And there's no answer, right? There's no plug for that. You just have to accept the fact that sometimes things don't go the way that you want them to. And that's devastating stuff. That's what stories should be about. And that's, that it really moved me. So I want to thank you for that. And I hope that it moves a lot of people who watch it after we talk today.
Thank you. Yeah.
So many things I still want to talk about. I feel like we could go on forever, but of course, all conversations do need to come to an end.
Yeah.
We kind of already touched on it, but what are your goals moving forward?
Yeah. More recently in the last week or so, I've been thinking about being comfortable with like that thing I was talking about, fame, and this the intensity of this career if you choose to be in it, in front of the camera. And so just goals is to stay grounded. I was pulling my mates aside the other week going, hey, just you'll tell me if I'm being a little, silly, really, because it's like, you don't want to get lost in that. And you don't want to get lost in perfection too. So I had a great chat because I'm writing a film with Fraser, the guy who produced Bygones. Look, our paths are crossing again. And we were just talking about like not being, perfect, like not trying to make the magnum opus. I'm 21. He's a little older, but it doesn't, no. And we always wanted to win Oscars. That was our dream growing up. And it's changed, because dreams can change. And that was a goal, but it's different now, because it is a question when you really ask yourself, are you wanting to win the Oscar for yourself? Are you, wanting da-da-da? And our caveat was, but we'd be up there saying, inspiring the next person. And that's so true. But I think you can get to that point just because you're putting, work and magic in other places. Awards are one thing, but goal. I live by this thing. I want to be my ancestors' wildest dream, and continue to be it. That's what I already am. That's what I feel like. How am I sitting here on a MacBook Pro, talking to you? This is insane. But also like, yeah, just like you feel. This is an acting thing I'm getting into here. But it's in your body, and you carry your people, you carry your ancestry, those who stood before you. And so you do feel like, maybe not responsibility, but you feel this honor or this pride to be able to walk with your hair and your body down the street and your name as well, if you want, and represent them and tell their stories too. I think that's what it's about. You living and existing is that. So that's one of my overarching things. Continue to be my ancestors' wildest dream. Yeah.
That's one of the coolest things I've ever heard. And it says a tremendous amount about you as a person. And I'm very moved by that. And the fact that you recognize that and that you use it as a motivation. I mean, you're the kind of person that should be telling stories and should be making art. I have no doubt that you're going to achieve fame based on that groundedness. And it sounds like you're in a very good headspace for when that happens. I wish there were more people like you out there. And I'm incredibly happy that you're on this program, because there's a lot of young, aspiring artists out there who are listening. If they're not listening, I don't know who is. And they need to hear that. And, you deserve everything that's coming your way. And I'm going to never forget that you want to be your ancestors' wildest dream. I'm going to tell my boys that as soon as we stop talking, and have them think about that and have a real conversation with them. Awesome. You seem incredibly focused on your career, and yet understandably you're taking it in stride, which is an incredibly more mature perspective for someone who's 21. But you seem like you're always working, like you're always driving, and if you're not writing, you're making TikToks, or you're doing this. I found a joke that fell out of my lap at McDonald's. I'm going to now do a stand-up routine. What do you do to relax?
Yeah, cool. Yo, um, plenty of things. Some I ain't gonna mention, but I think there's also party time, right? There's party time. There's house parties. When you're at a drama school and we're next to a dance school, most weekends there's house parties, and I love that. I don't like going clubbing so much because, especially when you're a TikToker in New Zealand, everyone
Oh
does know
man.
you, and you can't. That is a little, and the disrespect comes in the way as well because people are drunk. But yeah, it's having those house parties where you can walk down a hallway and into multiple rooms and just see people getting along and people singing on the guitar, doing waiata, which means songs in Maori, kai, which means food. There's like a table of things. But then overall, like I'm so aware of that when you're like an artistic person or you're creative and you're hustling. In order to make good art, you got to live experiences and breathe life and friends, my mates, you know, of Sharmal, who's in my class, who we went to high school and ended up meeting one day and going, oh, the person I was mentioning before, we sit in KFC and chat for 4 hours in the booth because that's just who we are as friends. That's what we do. We laugh, we analyze things, we break them down, we talk about from all these. That's how we've gotten along since high school. It's finding those moments, like for sure. And then I'm in a flat right now, so I flat with 3 other people. 2 are actors, one's not. In between all that time, you get to have chats, you get to plan little events. That's actually part of like downtime as well. And yeah, my own space. It's I will be honest, switching off, consuming is hard. So if you ask me to go watch a film nowadays, it's hard to because I'm such a maker that I feel almost I'm wasting time. Almost like if you to get, and then once I'm in it, it's like great. So I think the movie theater is a great spot because you again, it's classic. You're boxed in this dark room with multiple people sharing an experience. You can't leave. You've paid for a ticket. Like you're not going to turn it off. You can't pause it. All of that stuff. That's where I need to kind of go more rather than the laptop because there is too much distracting me. TikTok itself, is a machine as we know it. It's moving faster and faster and shorter time spans and all of this. So TikTok's like a lot of my downtime, but I use it as an excuse and say it's my work, so I'm allowed to be on it. That's what I say. Yeah.
Do you see, and TikTok, I mean, we could have a whole conversation just about that. Of course, I know nothing about it since I'm not on it, but you can't avoid it in this world.
Yes.
Do you see that as something you may ultimately have to let go because there are other things that you want to, really pour yourself into? It's a time consuming thing, right? It's a demanding process. So is that a reality that you think about?
Yeah, because I'm at acting school, I'm in this 3-year thing. I've got time. I started at the end of my first year. So, I've had time and it's more joy. I wasn't making any money from it for like the first year of doing it or whatever. So it was just do it for fun. Now I've been able to monetize it in ways. And so there's work involved with it. So you somehow have to kind of stick to it and watch yourself a little. But overall, it's like 30 minutes of my day. But when I think about it in the future, I'm like, okay, we might hit next year and there may not be time, but that's okay. I don't think I'll go on in there and talk and say, hey guys, I'm leaving. I'm not going to be that kind of guy. I just fade away from it, like casually probably. But I don't know. Yeah, I think it's something that I feel I want to do. It's like an energy, an outlet, as I was saying. So I think if it's always there and I'm bored one day, I might go, why don't I just like put on a little coat and do an impression? I think that might be me anyway. So that's how I'd treat it. But no, it's not the future. I don't consider myself, this is going to be my profession, a digital creator online. It's lonely in that sense too, I think. I want face-to-face interactions. I want to connect with people more. And it allows you to do that to a certain extent. Yeah.
Couple more questions before we have to wrap up. First is, people who are tuning into the show, it might be a teacher, sharing it in their classroom and then having a discussion about it. It might be just someone, checking it out on their own who has huge aspirations and wants to do this, this thing more than anything. what advice do you have for your younger self who might be listening to this show about, continuing to pursue the passion?
Mm, cool. Don't be precious, don't be too precious. Once you're interested in taking it seriously, and you may have been doing that already, choose to let yourself go in it a bit more and make sure you're having a smile and you're not trying to just, can you guys, so we can get, finally I can edit it. No, what? You just wanted to see it done. You didn't even enjoy, like actually bathe in the process. That could be such a beautiful thing. And I guess just, when you're young and I would say find your people, and be okay with whatever age they are. For me, they were older and I was trying to find them at my age, and that maybe wasn't working, but it doesn't mean you've got to be a 25-year-old when you hang out with a 25-year-old. You're just going to be who you are and bring that too. Like if you're around older people and you're a young person who's maybe skilled at something, you don't have to act more legit. You being there is probably a proof that you can be there. It's just lean into that thing that makes you different or unique. And that's what I think about when I walk into rooms. It's like, okay, I'm bringing myself. I'm not going to try and filter it so that it's perfect. I think that's the cool thing about bringing you and unconditionally being you, so that you don't have to fake it the whole way through. Like, like, this is not so much motive. This is just advice. Really, like when you're a filmmaker and a director, consider your actors, consider their space. I'm going to say this as an actor, aren't I? But consider their space, consider what they might be thinking, ask them that. Have reflections and check-ins like about when you're learning still, when you're not actually like in the big league, that's different. But when you're learning, you can go, all right, how do we feel? A word, a feeling, a thought, because they might go, oh, I'll be honest, I'm hating this because he picked up my bag. Okay. It's like dead ass. It's that tense it's that tight. And if you can acknowledge your crew or your cast, they already feel, halfway there. Okay, he's listening to me or she's listening to me. And the hierarchy can get squashed and it can be a more collaborative process in that sense. So listen to your actors and listen to your crew as well. But yeah.
I'm trying to, while listening to you speak, I'm trying to come up with the words to say what I mean here.
Yes.
You're 21 years old. I don't feel you embody that in so many ways, but I don't feel like I'm speaking with a 21-year-old. I feel like I'm speaking with someone, and I said it during the introduction regarding, you creating Bygones at a young age, that beyond your years, you have this, and I can't find the word, this presence that is beyond your years. I can't imagine what you're going to be like in 10 or 20. But I certainly hope we can stay in touch, because I can't wait to see how someone so beyond their years already is going to evolve. I hope it takes amazing turns for you. Yeah. One last thing, and terrific advice.
Thank you.
One last thing. We always like to have our guests leave our listeners with some recommendations. Anything that's on your playlist right now. Can be films, music,
yes,
shows, theater.
Cool.
You're doing a lot of different things.
Yes.
Anything besides TikTok, because I won't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anything, yes. Anything that's like on your playlist, something that people should check out. This is like, and I always say this because I feel like I need to be honest. It's sort of selfish of me because I write these things down and then I go check them out. So when I'm not checking out your TikTok, what should I be checking out to get a glimpse of what Theo's into?
Yeah, cool. A film I can think of that really like I hadn't seen, which changed a lot, was Talented Mr. Ripley.
Love that movie.
There were a lot of like films in 1999, and that one was definitely up there, but I missed it. On that, actually, linking Paul Thomas Anderson, all his work is incredible, and Magnolia, which is I think the same year. I love the way the camera keeps moving. It doesn't stop. The action doesn't stop. It's kind of like, if you're interested in action films, maybe watch his work. I don't know, because...
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Music, Schindler's List theme. That's what I was sleeping to last night. And I kept telling myself, oh, I should watch it again. But it's 3 hours and it's quite a mission. So I'm like, yeah, I got to be ready for that, you know? And then Thomas Newman, film scores.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Shawshank Redemption was in the playlist last night, and I was like, damn, that film's good. Like, lying in bed, like, come on, man, sleep. But he's mastered the sound of the ocean somehow.
The American Beauty soundtrack.
Yeah.
I mean, just
stunning.
Everything he touches.
You
know what? I haven't listened, like, I always listen to instrumental music when I'm working. I just find that the words distract me. And I haven't listened to, like, film music in a while. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because I've got a couple on my list, and the Schindler's List theme I have not listened to probably since I last saw the film, which I don't even remember when that was. Yeah. So definitely something to inspire my work for the rest of the week.
Music is a good reminder. Sorry, just to say, music is good reminder of, like, in a film sense, how powerful it is. Like, you feel how rich it is when a string instrument comes in, or when a soft piano plays. That's a great reminder of why I'm doing film for me, because I wrote with film scores so much, and it's that tether. So I think, if you get lost, you forget why you enjoy film. Yeah, go see a film, but also find that rich score, that classic, Indiana Jones thing that's way too epic and intense, but just listen to it on its own. Because I find when I do that, I'm like, I'm already trying to, like, no, it's so important. We got to, yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. And then the ideas just start flowing because you're feeling a different level of feeling than you are when you're just trying to write without it. And you know what, the music in Bygones, for, my small sampling of your work, plays an integral part. That delicate nature of the jazz in the background is the character experience in so many ways, and it is that space between the notes. Great conversation. I want to thank you, Theo, for an insightful glimpse into your experiences and motivations as a storyteller. Of course, I encourage all of you to check out Theo's impressive body of work in the description, and thank all of you for tuning in and joining us. I remind you that this is just one of many in-depth conversations with the future of film. You can go to hsfilmfest.com for more information on the All-American High School Film Festival. And please do us a favor and subscribe and share across all of our platforms to help support our important community of artists. Theo, amazing conversation. Thank you so much. I'm not going to say I hope we'll keep in touch. I am going to keep in touch. Cool. I'm so glad that I tracked you down in New Zealand to learn a little bit more about you and all of the wonderful things that are ahead. Thank you for joining us. And everyone, we will see you next time.
Ciao.